I think that's it. I think we're back. Let me see. Boom. That's the sound of another exciting episode of the Ultra Crude podcast. We've got a big episode this week. I am John, the Ultra Crude podcast. With me, as always, the fabulous BMFJ.
Well, hello there, people of the world, and Mr. John Cox.
I think that the wave was necessary.
This is my pageant wave.
Uh,
I didn't do pageantry.
no, you most certainly did not do pageantry. I think that's a given.
You don't
I think I do know. I don't know. We have to worry about pageantry so much.
know? They let anyone enter.
Listen, we've got a big episode this week, so let's just get on into it. Let me take a refreshing beverage.
Can you gurgle into the microphone?
I can gurgle in the microphone, but I'm not going to. Gurgling is a private affair that I think people should reserve to toothbrushing and mouthwash usage, and nowhere else.
Kitty agrees. I can hear her outside the door.
Yeah, well, in case you didn't know, we're race directors. We put on the Mid-State Mile, Tennessee Mile, a couple other events, home of the infamous Murder Mile. We're on Murder Mile merch today. Look at that, the twinsies. Look at that.
We didn't even plan that. We just put on clothes.
Yeah, we're so cute. Ultra running coaches, ultra runners ourselves, living right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
That Cashville.
Yeah. So, and we have a podcast. It's called the Ultra Group Podcast. You're listening to it right now. We appreciate that. We talk about ultra running and life. Thanks for being along, part of the conversation.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we certainly do. Listen, we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna get in because last week kind of got on some people, or at least pointed out an issue that I see as not accepting the responsibility of your actions, and I see it a lot in life and in ultra running. There's another component to that I didn't quite get to that I think at least needs to be acknowledged, and that is that oftentimes in life, do you have a question?
No, can I say something before we get into
Nope,
that?
you're going to save yours till after. You have to bear the responsibility of other people's actions. And you see that a lot, and people grow up in environments where you're just constantly dealing with the result of other people's actions. Sometimes you deal with the responsibility, the consequences of people's actions at work and relationships, whatever. I think that's appropriately labeled trauma, not to label everything trauma, but when you have to become responsible for the actions of your parents or siblings at a young age, especially, I think it's important to acknowledge there's other ways to get there. And I think you see these people in the sport that have lived a traumatic life to no fault of their own. And I think you see those people operate a little bit better in it oftentimes because they've dealt with and they understand the process of moving through. And attached to that, I think when you get next to that level, is it used to be a culture where when somebody told you what the standard was, you kind of got mad at yourself for not meeting those expectations and standards or at the standard. Now, I think we get mad and upset with the person, the individual, that's told us, both in life and running. I ran an aid station for a lot of years that had a hard cutoff. Like dozens of people I've cut. And almost universally, they became mad at me and the race director. Now, come on, people. Whose responsibility is this? Either it's your responsibility to know the course, know the cutoff, and be able to make it. And instead, you deflect all of that towards the course, towards the race director, towards me. Listen, I'm an aid station worker. I'm just out here saying, hey, listen, you've not moved fast enough at this point in your race. You can't safely continue and complete the distance in either the allotted time or a safe amount of time. You have to stop and wait here until I collect everybody, and then we're going to drive out.
Yeah.
And some people are just real persnickety about it.
Some people are. They do not take it well. And there are some race directors, I know what race you're talking about is not one of these the case, that does hard, fast cutoffs to up their cut rate.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about that. That's nonsense.
That because there
we're
is
not
some
here
of
for
that.
nonsense. There's not, but even if that is the case, it's still your responsibility.
It is still your responsibility. But there are some people out there that set times or do things and it just kind of fucks with you. And it's actually no real reflection on your capabilities or what you can do. It is aggressive and whatever. But in this case, it is not. It is for safety, but it does become you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
You're the bad guy. You're just present. I'm here.
Yeah. And if you think that I'm going to let you take it out on me,
They're wrong.
yeah, like I'm not going to argue with you. Like you can't go forward anymore. Like I'm not going to physically stop you from going forward. Like we're not going to get in a fight about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to argue with you about it. But even in those situations where it is hard for no reason, where a race director may be inflating, the difficulty through a harder cutoff, I think you don't want to accept it because you don't want to have to do that self-evaluation of what your capabilities are. Like, because you don't want it to be a reflection on you. And it might not be, but you got to do the work. You got to ask yourself the question, right? You got to dive in and go, okay, is this part of my ability? Did my training stack up? Am I capable of doing this? Or is this something that seems unreasonable given the environment?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I think we made a drastic shift into, instead of taking that responsibility immediately in days gone by, we just push it off. We push it off, and I don't really know why so much.
I think we live in a day and age where it's very easy to avoid accountability. We can avoid accountability in just in social media in our kids' schools or immediate feedback through everything. Like, I mean, oh, and when someone does give you feedback, a lot of people go, "Oh, you're just being confrontational." Like, if you're the person who has way too much shit to be in self checkout and you have fucked everything up for everyone else who collectively has 50 items and
Yeah.
there's 15 people in line.
Listen, there's times to be in self checkout with a full cart,
Mhm.
and there's times not to be in self checkout with a full cart.
And here's the thing, if you're going to be in self checkout with a full cart, you better be.
You got to know what you're.
You
It
got to
can't
be
be your
moving
first
and
time. Oh my gosh,
you can't do it.
I've conducted a social experiment, a non-scientific social experiment, and by far, it's like the day before Thanksgiving, and it's dudes at the store who don't do shopping
No, their wives do.
with a list, and they're in the self checkout, and it is the first time they've had more than one thing in the self checkout. They're trying to weigh produce. They're trying to scan meat items. They're looking for sauces they don't know exist. They're running back into the store. No, that's a hard no.
Oh,
No, if you forget something in the self checkout
you
and
wait
there's a
again.
line,
You wait again.
you ring up and you go around.
Absolutely.
I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
I carry those things out to the store. I'm gonna pop back in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm watching. I know exactly
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
what sort of people you're
Yeah,
talking about. And it's like, oh my God, it would have been easier to watch you tie your shoes for the first time when you were 6.
baby. It's not just 6-year-olds. Listen, I work in a shoe store. I work in a specialty running store, and we fit people for running shoes all day long. And sometimes it's like, is this the first time you've tied a pair of shoes? Are you folding under pressure because I'm watching you? Or did you just learn this skill this morning? You're like, oh crap, I got to get new running shoes. And then watched a YouTube video before you came in. The amount of different styles and the degree of difficulty people are having tying their shoes was not something I expected out of the general public.
I mean, they'll keep you on edge.
It does. It does. I'm like, oh, anyway. All right. So anyway, I digress. Yeah, I want to touch on those two things before we get started. Kind of carry over from last episode. If you missed that one, go back listen to it. I think Miss Jones has prepared a statement in relation to last week's episode.
No,
Miss Jones, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you, sir. We do have lots of friends that have dogs, and I talk to them, and they know I love them. I Listen. I need you to know I love dogs. I love dogs. Truly do. Actually, this is the longest I've ever gone in my life without having a dog these past few years. I have always had dogs. Grew up having them. My uncle had a grooming and boarding shop when I was growing up, and I've always worked with dogs. I also used to do dog rescue and fostering. I actually still dog sit and house sit for people. Truly love dogs. My only complaint is bad dog owners or who ignore things, not necessarily bad dog owners. That's not what I'm saying.
I think that's exactly what you're saying.
I think it's bad habits around dog ownership when it affects the general public. my personal sentiment, and I am free to have people disagree with me on this, is the leash, because there's a leash law that exists for a reason, same as a seatbelt law, a
I
helmet
think
law.
seatbelt laws are unconstitutional. I'm opposed to the seatbelt law.
I knew you were.
I wear my seatbelt, public service. I do wear it, but I'm opposed to it being a law.
I think it all falls under the category of these are things that are meant from taking a bad or to prevent a bad situation from becoming a worst case scenario. That's all. That's what it's there for. And it's there to keep everybody, including your fur baby, safe. Everyone. So I do love dogs. And actually, someone did say to me, they're like, I thought you hate dogs. No, I don't.
No, I would also like to go on record that I do not hate dogs, and I've been a dog owner for most of my life. I've had a dog, I think, for more years than I've not had one.
Yeah. And
I'm not opposed to dogs. I think my thing is that everybody likes their own dog.
kind of like their kids.
I don't.
Just kidding.
Listen,
We're not gonna.
no, you went off on dog owners enough. I don't think we need to go off on parents, just children. We're going to avoid that area. But I think everybody likes their own dog the most. And when I have a dog, I like my dog. It doesn't mean I'm going to like your dog. Now, I did part of my crew duties last week was dog handling, taking care of. Phil's got a big dog.
He has a Belgian Malinois, 2 of them actually.
Yeah, a big scary dog. And it terrifies me a little bit, not going to lie. But he was very well behaved. I appreciated him being very well behaved for me. But I didn't get a dog.
Well,
not that I'm opposed to dogs.
We're gonna get another one.
Do you know
I know
the grounds for dog ownership?
I do, and I do want to say I think one of the things that makes me nervous, like when we are out in public, because when I did dog rescue and fostering, I took on dogs who had reactivity issues, aggression issues, and they were usually bigger, more aggressive breeds, and I see a lot of issues in dogs that I know could pose a problem, and I watch people just interact and go, oh, they're just this. And I'm like, oh no, that's actually a not great sign. Your dog is going to bite someone one day, and all it's going to take is that one thing to trigger. Anyways, that's neither here nor there, but I do get more nervous around certain dogs that are not controlled or off leash, and I see that they are not just, oh, they're friendly. No, that dog is nervous and uncomfortable and uncontrolled. So, anyways, I love dogs. I really do. I promise. I really love dogs. I just want your dog to be on a leash in a public setting so that your dog and everyone else is safe. That's all.
I think that concludes the dog portion of our podcast this week.
Yeah. No more. We now know where we're at, but
this is the Ultra Dog podcast where we talk about dogs and how they're like ultra running. No, we don't.
No.
But a little bit here lately. Let's move on from the 4-legged animals.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, I thought you had a question.
We got a couple questions. I didn't know if you wanted to recap the week and see what was going on, or you want to do that later. I mean, you want to stop doing that?
Sorry, I was just getting
good gracious. Good gracious.
Well, you got Feral Mountain coming up.
I do have. Yeah, we'll back into that, I guess. We'll do the questions. I got a couple questions here. One question is, do you really run with your hair down sometimes?
Yes, I very much enjoy it. It makes me feel fancy, footloose and fancy.
I mean, you got that red hair. You might as well let it flow.
Yeah. It's also much cooler because the wind blows through it and it keeps me feeling
it's majestic is what it is. You're just those red locks just flowing behind you in the breeze. I think you started that at like Tunnel Hill last year.
I've done it before then.
Have you done? I know that was like a big one. You're like, I think I've been rolling my hair down. Yeah. I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you wore that buff that kind of makes you look like a Indian princess a little bit.
My Geronimo buff.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Yeah, you got it's a vibe.
Yeah.
You look real feral, wild animal out there running.
I mean, that's how I feel. I'm glad I match that energy.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, sometimes try it out if you got long hair. Let it flow in the breeze.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. I mean,
Do you have any tips for running with long hair down, or do you want to?
brush it beforehand because it's definitely gonna be super matted afterwards. If mine gets sweaty enough, it's not bad. Which that sounds gross to say, but if it gets sweaty enough at the roots, it doesn't mat up so bad.
I feel like hair care in general is like a big, like dudes have one or two, like wear a hat or not wear a hat.
I think females in ultra running, trail running too, really good the hat, but it keeps you so much hotter.
It does. It's just why I don't like
Yeah,
wearing a hat a lot, because it just, most of them trap heat.
it traps heat. Even the ones that aren't supposed to trap heat, and they
Yeah.
stop the air from flowing over your face and your head, which actually works to cool you. So I know it looks cooler, and they say fun things, and it's a great thing to have.
Yeah, I'm a big hat guy. I wear a hat all the time,
Oh, I love the hat during
except
ultra
when I'm
running.
running.
And
Really.
I especially like it at night because I can put my headlamp on top of it. It's not cramming into my forehead and feeling uncomfortable, but I'm it really hinders the cooling
Yeah.
process.
But I think, like I said, girls have a lot more options
Yeah.
and choices to make
Yeah.
when it comes to hair and ultra running. What are some of your favorite ultra running hairstyles? Do you go with the one braid, single braid, bun, ponytail?
I mean, I do all of them. I guess it really depends on what I'm
Do you ever
feeling.
switch it up mid race? Like, I gotta stop and do my hair.
No, absolutely not. I pick one before, and that's what we're
Not that
doing.
you would condemn people that decided a hair change.
No, I mean, I wouldn't continue, but I'm not. Like, I'm concerned with not feeling like shit or going to pee or doing something else. Like, I mean, you have seen my reaction when you even try to wipe off my face or do anything.
Yeah, well, you had some gunk on your face.
Yeah, I'm like, get off my face.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
I think we're
So
past that now.
me personally, I'm likely not
Pick a
sorry.
hairstyle, braids, whatever it
If
is.
I can find a feather to put in it
You
somewhere,
will
that's
100% put a feather in your hair.
the feather is.
The more feathers, the better. And, feather fleas and feather lice be darned.
Oh, I'm here
You're
for
going
it.
to pick them all up.
Yes, absolutely. Like if there is a dead turkey out in the woods and I can pick up more feathers, I'm so here for it. I want to have a headdress by the time I come in, like from you know, blue jays, red-headed woodpeckers, or reticulated woodpeckers with the little polka dots on them.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they're so good. Combined with the turkey feather, maybe a little hawk feather.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then we leave those feathers in the car indefinitely,
Along with my rocks.
along with the rocks.
I pick up a lot of rocks.
And I would just like to say that I'm adamantly opposed to both of these habits of yours.
To be fair, I think you're adamantly opposed to everything that I do.
That's not true. And that's not a fair assessment.
I don't mean that
I,
in
I,
a
I
loving
think
way.
that picking up feathers and wearing them in your hair is a bit icky.
No.
No, I actually do. I think it's a bit icky.
Yeah, I understand what you think. I disagree.
All right, then. Well, we'll just move on to this second question, which is a great question, I believe. And the question is, in a sport where people get burnt out, what do y'all recommend to keep coming back?
I think that that is a question that has multiple layers. And probably a few answers that some people won't like to hear, but I would
Well,
love to hear where you're
let's
at.
start with the answers people don't like to hear, and maybe I'll bring it back to something it's a little more palatable.
So I actually think I wrote about this in my athlete email a little bit about working your way up. And just because you have been successful at a distance doesn't mean you have in- found all the skills or explored all this in order to be successful. Like just because someone finishes 100 miles doesn't mean that they can do it at their
Right.
best level or whatever. Because they made it through a cutoff in a race doesn't mean that that's the best distance for them. It has to do with building a solid foundation. And I say all that to preface, like, you, oh, sorry, I hate when I make that noise. Oh, it makes me want to stab my eyes out. So I apologize to those listening. But, well, I heard it. Anyways, I think that you see people get really excited about the sport and excited about the fact that they can cover a distance and they move up too quickly and they miss a lot of learning opportunities to dial a lot of things in and they progress too fast and there's a lot of excitement at a 25K distance, at a 50K distance, at a 50-mile distance, and really like executing a race that you feel good at. And just because you are successful, it doesn't mean you executed a good race.
Mm.
It
Mm.
can be a shit show, but because you are physically fit or you are mentally resilient, you can string it together. And you can come out the other side with a podium or a finisher award. Doesn't mean it looks good, doesn't mean it was good, and doesn't mean you actually learned anything that's going to translate to anything else. But you're built like a brick shithouse, so you can get through it. You're a fucking stud, you're an athlete or whatever. So you do it. And I think that when you start using that as a benchmark and develop goals for other races, and you lack that strong foundation and those steps and those learning blocks and all throughout training, if you're constantly battling injuries and this and that, then there's something you're missing. There's a lot of fundamentals that you are missing. If you're like, oh, T-band syndrome and this and that, like, no, that's not normal. You're missing things.
Well, I would say getting IT band syndrome is relatively normal occurrence.
It's common.
Let,
It's not normal.
okay, yeah. Let me
Sorry.
just stop talking.
Sorry.
Fine, it's a relatively common occurrence for dudes, especially that start running. Taller guys, I see it happen a lot, and it's mostly, I think, due to hitting the downhills too hard because it's easy to run downhill when you're new.
That
And you run a little bit harder and that puts strain on them. And I know there's physiological like hip imbalances and weak glutes, but I think those it's coming as a byproduct of running downhill too hard. It's highlighting the areas where you've got a muscle weakness,
the downhills will
exasperate the problem.
they will
Is what
bring to
the
the
word you were looking for
yes, they will
for
bring
my thoughts.
a lot of they'll bring all that to the table. I'll plug that in. Hold on, I gotta do something on this.
Oh my
I'll let you
gosh.
talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna do things. A little technical difficulties. Burnout for me is like, why did you get into the sport and why are you doing it? Let's start there. I think burnout in a lot of things is relatively normal, depending on how much time and intensity and reason you're putting into the thing you're doing. I mean, you could just really get really into puzzles and be knocking out a puzzle on the kitchen table 3 times a week, and couple months go by, you're going to be burnt out doing puzzles. Well, you really liked putting the puzzles together when you started, and then that became the entirety of your personality. You stopped doing everything else, and everything involved around putting puzzles together. Hey, can we have dinner? Want to have some people over for dinner on Tuesday? Can we make that happen? No, table's full of puzzles. Can't do that.
That was the other thing I was gonna say. A lot of people make their identity based around a certain thing, and that's why if you suffer an injury or something like that happens, you know, the depression is real because now you have just made your whole personality and identity around this thing.
But it's easy to do because you find something that maybe you excel at or find gratification from. If you're lost and you're wandering, you can easily find an identity in ultra running, but then you can let that thing become your identity. That's a little harder.
Yeah. I also think too, you see people who can do well in this sport and they don't go out and help others. They only run their own races. They only go out to races when they can run, do the longest distance every time there's something. I'm going to do the 36-hour, the 24-hour, this, that, when there's no real benefit other than they feel like they have to do the hardest thing. And they're never giving back to anyone. So it becomes this all about them, all about what they're doing. And if they don't have the results that they first have or that they think they have, there comes a lot of big feelings with that. And I think that that helps facilitate burnout too, because if you feel like you're coming up short or you're not performing or you're not doing what you think you need to be doing, then it's going to drain joy. But if you go out there and you pace other people and you crew people and you volunteer and you make sure that you are giving just as much as you're getting, it's a balance rather than it's just all focused on you, all focused on your training, all focused on what you're doing, all focused on you. Like the sport involved, it is fueled by people who are willing to give, by the volunteers and the people that give back. And if you're a constant taker of that energy, then yeah, you're going to get burnout because there's nothing else filling your cup.
Yeah, I mean, you're either going to get burnt out or you're going to look for something else that is fulfilling and gratifying relatively quickly. And we see that happen. We see people come in and they run for a little bit and they go, all right, I'm going to go play pickleball now. And that to your point, that's my other takeaway or thought is are you a consumer in the sport? How are you interacting with the sport of ultra running and the community? Are you solely a consumer? Are you just up here signing up for races and calling it a day, going, running, being successful, not being successful, signing up for the hardest thing? Are you having fun just running an event to have fun and run an event? Are you volunteering at a race? Like, I think that's what keeps us both pretty grounded. I think if we just ran ultras, we would kind of get bored with it or we would have a different take. But since we do spend a lot of time volunteering for races, at races, we spend a lot of time crewing other people for races. Like those things are uplifting and gratifying, and not that we are doing it to be uplifted from a consumer mindset. I'm going to do this for you because I need it because it makes me feel better. You're doing it from a point of I'm going to do this for you because this you need somebody to help you, and I would love to help you do this because your goal is awesome, and I want to be there and support you and your goal. I'm going to go to your race and volunteer at the race because somebody's got to make quesadillas and cut up pickles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good to do, and it's enjoyable to do. It's enjoyable to support others in what they're doing and help them along the way. It doesn't mean that you have to go and you got to pep talk everybody and talk about we hit on this, talk about why you're not running or your PR times or whatever. Go volunteer, fill up people's water bottles, flag the course, sweep the course, and then don't talk about your races. Well, you're taking that opportunity to give back, and then you've just returned all the energy to yourself, trying to take still. Like I think, and as long as you are a taker, it doesn't matter what it is in life. As long as you are taking and receiving constantly, like you can only get so full.
Mm-hmm.
Like take a beat, do something for somebody else, like give back. You can't hoard all the energy. You got to return it sooner or later.
Yeah.
And if there's an energy flow, if there's an energy exchange, a positive vibes back and forth, I think that goes a long way to preventing burnout.
Yeah.
You got to reset your mind. You got to figure out, why am I doing this? Am I just doing this so that other people think I'm cool? I'd be honest, nobody really cares.
Nobody cares. No one cares
Yeah.
more than you care. And I say that, and like sometimes it sounds like a dick thing to say, but no one cares more than you.
Yeah.
No one
I
gets
mean,
it
it's
in their
cool.
boat.
Yeah, you're right. It is cool. It's cool to do hard things. It's cool to run ultras. Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
But, ESPN's not calling.
No, and when I'm paying my light bill, I sure shit ain't sitting there talking about you. Like,
You can't take buckles into
yeah, like I don't care.
utilities and be like, I've got this buckle for the light bill this week. The second account, they're like, no, we don't actually do that.
And they're like, oh, actually, how much was that race injury?
Yeah,
What did you pay in
yeah,
gas?
yeah, yeah.
Did you fly out there? How much did your hotel cost? Oh, $1,000 into that weekend? Yeah, shut it off.
Yeah. So I think though, like it's a big conversation. Um, but I think those are the things that we do to keep from getting burnt out. And it happens. Like, listen, I'll be burnt out after a weekend of volunteering or running or doing whatever. But that's part of how I need to recharge. Like I acknowledge that, and you the other day, we talked about it last week. Like you went out and peopled all week. I was peopling that weekend. And then, Sunday, we went opposite directions because that's what we both needed to refresh and recharge.
That is the other thing. Like, I think a lot of ultra runners and trail runners get hung up on, well, this is how I recharge, but it still takes a lot from you, and you have to still prioritize rest and rejuvenation and quiet time and downtime away from all of that. You still have to have that. I know I've definitely been sleeping in a little bit more than
No,
I should,
you've been doing great sleepies.
even though we've been going to bed
Making you
earlier.
go to bed earlier, and you've been waking up at your regular time. It's working out great for you.
But even when I wake up early, sometimes I'm just laying in bed and I just want quiet. I don't want to look at my phone. I don't want to scroll. I'm not ready for the world to come in yet. And I just lay there, kind of like a corpse. Just, nope, I'm not moving yet because as soon as I get up, I have to
The world
interact.
starts. Yeah. And there's this grind mentality, these 4 a.m. wake ups and running 20 miles before the sun comes up and dunking your head in a bucket of ice and sprout like we gotta get away, I think, a little bit from this hustle culture grind mentality. Just a tick.
There is an amount of it that has a place, but a lot of it, again, contributes to that burnout.
Yeah, I'm
And
not saying you ain't gotta work.
yeah,
Do the work, but there's gotta be recovery for the work.
yeah. Sometimes that work looks like meditation and sitting in silence.
But hey, it's a hard thing for some dudes to relax, but that's exactly what you need to do, especially if you want to meet your goals. Even if your goals are just showing up and being like a regular dude that's there for the people around him.
Hmm.
Like if your fuse is short and you can't have a conversation over a minor inconvenience, if you're losing it at people at the self checkout because they got too many items and it's before a holiday, like maybe you need to moderate something a little bit. Maybe you need to step back, look inward.
Well, when you show your ass and act like a dick, then you know what? You're making your problem someone else's problem.
And
And
that's
that's a
not cool.
problem.
And then you got another problem. Then you carry that around all day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or you go, oh, I really showed him. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't show anybody. You showed your ass. Like, that's all you did. Oh, do you feel like a big, strong man? No, probably not.
Is that good?
Oh, it just, I think we had a conversation about that the other day after you had left the grocery store. Someone had acted like something. I don't know. I remember a conversation last week. It was like, did that? No, you just ruined someone else's day and you made yourself look like a jerk. Good job. Not you.
Yeah, I didn't do
Whoever it
that.
was.
I don't yell at people in public. That's not my thing. I come home and take it out on you.
And then I tell you to go fuck
That's
yourself.
how it's supposed to be.
And then that doesn't work.
No, I don't do that. All right. That's yeah, 2 questions this week. I think that's pretty good. Let's move on to the week coming up. What we got going on this weekend, Ms. Jones?
I mean, I don't have a lot going on. I'm just kind of hanging out.
You're just hanging out. There's
I
no
wait for
prep
you to
work for
figure.
you.
No,
None.
no, I'm waiting for you to figure your shit out. My work will begin once the race begins.
Yeah. So this is the week we've all been waiting for. Farrell Mountain 100, put on by Coyote Ugly Racing down there in Georgia. 104 miles, 105 miles, right outside LJ. So that's the race I've been training for. Been getting tuned up for it. I haven't really talked about a lot about it.
As you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a new race. It's the first year for this race. Coyote Ugly puts on a number of other events, so I know that this is also going to be a fantastic event they put on. I'm excited to get down there and run. And I've been working at this one, I think, since I ran the last one, since we ran Falcon's Fury.
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get down there. I've never been to the Mulberry Gap area, I don't think, where they're doing it. And they do a fantastic job, right, her husband. So
Yeah, they
very
really do.
excited about
So
that.
yeah, we're pumped. It's a little Cahutta Wilderness, so it's a big loop and out and back on the Penhati Trail, and then
Cody.
another smaller loop. So it doesn't really repeat. Kind of like that too. That it's not a loop race or not an out and back. It's a little something different. I don't think I've been on any of these trails before. We've been to the area a bunch. I've been to the area, but this is something new. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I think for most of the part, I'm just kind of like, you know, there's not a lot going on. Like, I'm not too worked up about it. I'm not super anxious about it. I'm looking forward to having a good time, run through the woods. And I know it's going to be a long day. 20,000 feet elevation gain. I think the race cutoff is 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping not to need all 40 of those, but we'll take them
Oh.
if we got to.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. My goal is to be done by dinner. That's goal number 1. Done by supper time.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks less if you run it faster.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna run about as fast as we can, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's that training look like? What's your coach think about it? How's that going?
My coach has not shared a lot of thoughts with me, quite frankly. She plays her cards pretty close to the vest, but I think the build up, I'm happy with my fitness. I really am. I think I am in better shape than I was last fall. I think last year I kind of peaked in July when I ran the Cherokee. And so I kind of just fell off to the time we got to Georgia Jewel and Falcons Fury a little bit. Not that I was out of shape or in bad shape. I just felt like I peaked a little before that cycle.
Well, there was a lot that happened in
There was a
August. There
lot
was a
going
lot of
on.
traveling and
Yeah, I was
stuff. So
gone for the month of August for crying out loud.
yeah, it wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
training. There just wasn't.
Yep. But I feel really good about where we peaked in this cycle. So I feel like I'm ready. Tapered hard. I love a good hard taper. Just shut it all down. Done running.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like I'm ready. I feel physically good, good shape, mentally in good spirits. You know, I don't have a ton of emotions at the moment, and that's I think I am an individual. How I approach things is like once I figure out how to do something, I feel very confident in being able to do it. And so I've ran 100 miles before. I feel confident in being able to run 100 miles. I know
Mm-hmm.
much more of what that looks like for me to do. I think we kind of know where the possible pitfalls are going to come, like when I'm going to get agitated and tired. Um, and then and I think hopefully the switch to let's get this thing done comes relatively quickly, and I expect it to. I expect that kind of moment, that bump in the road, to come rather early in the race, about a day that afternoon, because that's when it typically does.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we'll just be boop. Yeah, we're doing this. Let's get it on. Time to go. Got some good people coming down to do the pacing and the crewing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good
Got a
time.
good team. Farrell Mountain Falcon.
I I don't know that I'm fully on board with that, but that's fine.
You better be on board. I need you to be fully on board.
Oh no, like I'm on board. Toot toot, let's fucking go. Like full steam ahead. I don't know if I'm on board with the Falcon.
Falcon gets things done. He's he's never not gotten it done.
That's true.
Dude, the Falcons a beast. But yeah, so what's this week look like for me? Prepped most of my gear the other day. Was that Saturday?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I got my gearbox. I got all my food sorted. All we got to do is pick up some roast beef sandwiches. Those will go in the cooler. We'll get that Friday probably.
Yeah.
And then I'll pack my gear probably tomorrow, as far as like clothes changes and shirts and stuff.
So, for those people listening, tell me, what does a typical packing situation look like for you as far as gear, nutrition, calories? What's your plan there, Falcon? You hate everything I
No, I
just
think that's
said.
thanks. Like I said, I'm doing that now. Typically, I would advise anybody to do that as early as possible.
Oh yeah, don't wait till a day or two before.
No, like you want to get that done. It's one less thing to think about that week. Now, if you do this all the time, if you run 100 miles every month or so, like there's less mental thought that goes into it. There's less trying to figure it out. It becomes more natural. But you want to get that gearbox and that food box squared away, at least a week ahead of time. Like I said, I'll have mine done tomorrow. I wanted to wear the socks yesterday that I plan on wearing during the race. So I got to wash those and then they'll be ready to go. So, what I will do for my gear situation is I have a food box. It's got all of my snacky snacks in there. I've got some really simple options. I've got Belvita bars. I've got some energy gels. I've got some Chips Ahoy cookies that are 300 calories a piece. So I'm excited about those. And then I have obviously the Entman's pound cakes individually wrapped, about 200 calories a piece. And that all goes in a box with some scratch mix in case we need that super high carb version, obviously. My salt pills will go in there too. I'll carry salt pills on me. I'll take 3 or 4 salt tabs every 45 minutes or an hour to make sure I got all my electrolytes going on. And I like to drink just water primarily. I don't like to drink the drink mixes because I like crisp, clean, refreshing water.
Well, and this is one of the areas where we differ. And when people ask about nutrition, there's a lot of different things you can read, and it says it needs to be X, Y, Z, but a lot of it's very individualized. I would rather just drink my calories. I would
Yeah.
rather just have a bottle of plain water and then all of my calories is
Mhm.
drinkable calories with maybe a gel or on occasion something that makes my stomach feel kind of full here and there. You, on the other hand, can actually
I can eat
in
food and I plan on doing it.
and enjoy eating,
Nom, 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 nom.
making me eat.
No, you're not
You're,
going to do that. And also, I think logistically, with the time between crude aid stops or the distance between them, it would be hard to take that many liquid calories with me. Or I can take a couple extra snacks and it not be
oh
that
yeah,
big a
no,
deal.
see, I'll carry just bottles. You've seen, I've gone out with like 4 bottles
Yeah, I
before
don't want to do that.
because
It's heavy.
it is heavy and it is inconvenient, but I need calories and I know that you can send me out with all the sandwiches or tortillas. I'm just going to throw
No,
them
you're
away
not
and
going to
tell
eat
you
any of
that I
that.
ate
Yep,
them.
yep.
And
You're
then
a
you're doing a
liar.
great
Is what
job.
you
And I'm
are.
gonna be like, yeah, I know. I did so good. And I did this way.
She's a trickster and she lies to the people crewing her. I do not do that. I'm pretty honest about what I've eaten and not eaten. I know I need the calories, so I plan on eating. All of my snacks are about 100 or 200 calories a piece in a single serve. So it's real easy. Typically, we would advise, I think, figure out how many calories you need, what you're going to eat the entire race, what you're going to pick up and take with you, and then put that, like make little bundles with those snacky snacks in a Ziploc bag so that when you come in, you're getting crude. They can just hand you another one or hand you two for a cycle. I am skipping that stage of that because it's really, I only have like four things and they're all the same calorie content more or less. And I don't care what those things are. So you can just hand me, or the crew can just hand me, you know, stuff and I'll put it in my pack and I'll just keep on rolling.
Yeah. But the bundles are a great way to go.
Bundles is clutch. Yep.
It also allows your crew to see how much you're eating and not eating.
Yeah.
Because that is another thing that happens in ultras. You go, or in any race, oh, I've been eating so good. And no, you ate 200 calories out of that 550
Yeah.
calorie bundle, whatever it was. So when that bag is empty, you know that you ate however many calories and that's it. And then you can pick up the next one. It's great to leave in drop bags or anything else, like, in between X amount of stops, this is the amount of calories you need to consume. And you can really track if you're on track, off track. And remember, aid station calories are bonus calories, they're not real.
Yeah. I mean, they are real calories, but I think it's always better to just count them as bonus calories, just for the lack of how much you eat
Yes.
or you don't eat. So, if you're counting on getting 300 calories at an aid station, it's not efficient and it's hard to do with a handful of potato chips.
Do you know how much you have to eat in an aid station to get 300 calories?
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much. And
Like that
most people,
slice of cheese quesadilla is probably 90 calories.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe at best. I wouldn't even give it that.
I think a tortilla has like 110 in it.
The whole tortilla, you're eating a quarter of it.
Well, it depends on how they make the quesadillas.
See? There's a lot of variables. You can't
There's
count
like,
on anything.
yeah,
It's imaginary calories.
two
It
slices
doesn't
of
count.
bacon is 100 calories. So anyway, it becomes problematic. So the bundles, definitely recommend doing that. And then with the gear, like all the clothes that we ultra runners like to have to change into, the weather forecast might be a little wet this weekend. And so I'm bringing some extra shirts.
Now tell the people, good sir, Mr. Cox, how do you pack and label those shirts so that the crew may discern what
Oh, I
needing to
just
meet
throw
your
I throw
needs?
all of my shirts that are mostly the same and my six different pair of identical black shorts and a handful of socks in a duffel bag. And so when I come in, I'm going to say I want my Solomon shorts. They're black. No, the black ones. And then they're all black, but they're all different shorts. And I know which ones I like, but you have no idea. And then I'm going to get fussy with you for not handing me the right shorts. Is that
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
What I what I'm going to do, what we're going to do is take that garment, whatever it is, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then put a note in there of what it is, how you would describe that item.
Yep. Think about mile 80, 60, 45,
Gray
whatever.
short sleeve shirt,
Mhm. Gray
black
short
long
sleeve.
sleeve,
Yeah.
white thermal, rain jacket, different rain jacket,
Gray toe socks.
gray toes off. Yeah, and so do those things so they can be easily identifiable for somebody that isn't doing your laundry every day and easy to get. So I'll do um, probably 3 pairs of socks, maybe four, and I'll put those in bags that are labeled so I know which socks I want and I can tell you which socks I want. And then I'll do probably a complete change of clothes. I'll do bottoms, where the exoskin.
Like you can do a nighttime bundle,
Yeah,
a nighttime
yeah,
bag that says nighttime
yeah. I
long
probably won't do
distance.
nighttime,
But
but you
or some
can, yeah. If that's you're planning on a temperature change or something like that, and you want a fresh change out, you put nighttime bundle of clothes, or when it gets dark, or whatever it is. Whatever it is you want, you've got to be able to package it together, describe it easily, and then put it in a Ziploc bag.
the idea that you're going for is if any random person were to walk over, they could discern your things for and give you what you needed, not necessarily your crew. Like if this guy Steve's over here is like, "Hey, do you need help?" and you go, "Yes, I need blah 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 blah." He
Yeah,
could open your stuff and go and easily read blah 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 blah
and
and hand it to you.
100%, and do that with everything. Do that with headlamps, do that with cords or battery packs or whatever it is, especially if it's a drop bag,
Hmm.
because you're going to get to an aid station and you're going to need stuff out of your drop bag if you're utilizing drop bags. And then typically there's like an aid station worker there that's very happy to help you,
Yes.
and they will get things out of your drop bag
Hmm.
and then, hand them to you. But if they don't know what they're getting,
Well, it's
it's a
more
little bit harder.
Well, it's more mental energy for you, and that's the other thing. You have to really focus on what your mental energy expenditure is going to be later in the evening, later in the race. It's a lot to have to explain to someone when you just want to sit for a minute or you just want to sip your ramen or whatever you want to do. And if people have all the information, you can tell them everything that you will need and they can get that and not have to talk to you.
Yep.
And you can have a few minutes of just enjoying that 25-calorie cheese quesadilla.
In your 0 calorie ramen. So I'll do that. I'll do, you know, what is going on over there? Could you stop kicking your microphone?
Maybe.
I'll do extra shirts. They'll be individually packaged and labeled. I'll do an extra pair of shorts. I'll do an extra pair of short liners just in case. And then I'll do 3 or 4 pairs of socks. And that'll pretty much be it. So pretty simple. Like really, really simplify the gear I need because it's the gear I know I'm going to use. It's not crazy. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I have enough stuff that I know I'm going to use. And there isn't a huge, like, yeah, there's the potential for rain, but it'll be warm enough where wearing rain gear is not applicable. Like wearing a rain jacket when you're running and it's 70 some degrees just isn't doing you a lot of good.
Yeah.
Even if you have a really good rain jacket, you're still just sweating underneath it. And so there's really no point in that. And it looks like the temperature isn't going to get cool at night. It looks like high 60s at night when the sun goes down, which is kind of ideal. So I don't have to worry about being super warm either.
Well, another peek into kind of how we pack. So we have a couple gear boxes that we use, and usually one will be full of uh, cooking stuff or
Yep.
whatever the crew may need. And all of this is race dependent on if like we have access to a lot of stuff or if we have to bring things and we're going to be out there in a remote area. The Rubbermaid 3 drawer stacky thing is one of your best things. I mean, because you can have a drawer that's
Yeah,
all full
clear
of
drawers.
clothes
Yep.
and label those drawers, put painter's tape on there and write every single
Oh, yeah.
thing that's in there. You can have a medical drawer, you can have a clothing drawer, a nutrition drawer, and then if you have another box that has all your cooking stuff or whatever you need or extra gear, really breaking everything down to where it all has a home. That home is labeled,
Yeah.
and no matter who is taking over, they can look at your shit and go, "Oh, yep, I bet I can find this."
Yeah. And, the stackable drawers are really popular. We've got a couple of boxes with clear lids. I love those. They're waterproof, or at least they're rainproof. If you threw them in a lake, they'd probably get wet, but you can leave them out. The lid opens. It's got a hinge side, so that's nice. Rolling toolboxes. We've got a rolling
Yep.
stackable toolbox we really like using, especially if you have to walk in and out of an aid station. You can get everything in there. That's what I used at Tunnel Hill.
Yep.
Real handy. I like it because you can also sit on that over. You can put a cooler on top of it and still wheel it around. That's fun too. So there's creative ideas in to how to crew ultras and how to stow gear and how to organize it. So it's easy to use for your crew. It's easy to use for you. It's organized. You don't have to worry about getting wet. I can't stand bags. I don't want anything in a bag. I don't want groceries in a bag. I don't. I don't want a duffel bag full of stuff. There's nothing that'll drive me nuts quicker than an unorganized crew setup and bags of stuff.
Well,
I
listen,
can't handle it.
digging through shit is
Yeah.
such a time and energy waster.
Yeah.
And and if you're trying to run a faster time or hit a goal time, seconds are minutes and minutes are miles. And every second you waste equates to minutes wasted, and that's miles gone. So time is of the essence, and don't waste it digging for bullshit.
Yeah.
Have everything where you can grab and go.
Hey, here's another quick tip. You might want to bring a chair. I grabbed a chair yesterday. I almost thought about not bringing a chair because a lot of times I'd just rather. I know. Look at that. I would rather lean or sit like on the bumper of the tailgate of the car so much as opposed to slumping down in a chair. I don't know why you're looking at me so ugly. Like that's a mean look.
There's crew
But I would
people.
just rather. Yeah. I mean, if
We want to sit.
well, then you should bring a chair.
Yeah. Plan to.
See, and now you're going to load the car up with so much stuff, and it's going to be disorganized in there.
But you know what? It's not going to be your fucking
It is going to be a
'cause you're
problem.
gonna
I'm
be
going to look
running.
at it. I'm going to look at it.
I'm going to tell you
I'm
go
be like,
run.
why is it so messy in here?
Then go back out. Bye. Start running. Bye. See ya. Kick rocks on down the trail.
That's not nice. And then cooler. That's it. So I'll have a box and a cooler with stuff in it with zesty frescas. I wonder how many frescas I can drink. That's a long pause. Long pause. Maybe 6 frescas. No, is that too many frescas?
Probably. That's a lot of bubbles.
I like bubbles.
Your stomach
Good.
running is
They're
not
good
gonna
for
like
your
bubbles.
tum-tums. All right, maybe just 2 or 3 frescas. They're so refreshing and delicious. I love them.
Do you have any questions for me as your
But yeah,
crew chief extraordinaire?
what's your week look like? How are you preparing for this?
Well, I'm going to coordinate with the crew and also figure out what is in the area, figure out a possible timeline, and the best back and forth to get everyone rest. Because I'm also going to say this: if you are crewing and you're pacing, you should never be up as long as your runner.
Oh,
And there's a
yeah.
lot of pacers who are like, I've been up for 20 hours. Well,
Oh, that's horrible.
then you don't need to be pacing, because here's the deal: if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of someone else. And if you are tired and you are already in a deficit, you cannot give to a tired runner in the way that you need to be able to. And some people get through, and it's fine, but if you're going to show up for someone, you need to show up, give them your best.
Don't be a liability to the team. Yeah, there is I think probably 15, 20 minutes outside LJ. LJ has lots of options for num-nums and replenishments and rest.
Yeah. So I'll be going over the aid station stuff and putting the back and forth to and from, figuring out when everything closes,
Mhm.
how long it's going to take to get to and from, and kind of those windows and when that best time is. I think they just recently had some course changes or whatever due to the forestry department saying we don't want you crossing these rivers at night. So that changed a few things. So I'll go through that, coordinate with the crew and who's going to be coming and going, and what are good times for rest, when we need to get food, that sort of thing, what's available.
Yeah, and I think from my end, it's really good to have somebody that handles all that stuff. I know when you are running, like you're not worried about anything but doing the running. Like all that gets offloaded to your crew chief, and they communicate everything with the crew so that the runner doesn't have to handle it. So other than where we eat Friday night, which quick tip, scout out that location ahead of time so that you don't have to spend 20 minutes or the mental energy trying to figure out where to get something to eat or when they're open and what's closed, what's available. So I've kind of already done that. I got a couple of good options for us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get down there, we'll get checked in, get the packet picked up, get some grub, maybe vice versa. Maybe get some grub, then pick up the packet, and then it's nap time, early wake up. But handling all that stuff off, and there's a lot of runners that like to do like take all that responsibility and micromanage the process. And maybe you have to. Maybe there's nobody in your life that is running or can handle those sorts of things. Listen, you don't have to be an ultra runner to be a really good crew person.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be detailed oriented. You got to be able to read handwritten directions a bit because there's a lot of places that don't have Google Maps or cell phone coverage. You got to be able to coordinate people, and that's kind of it. You got to keep your calm under pressure, but you don't have to actually run the miles to do a good job crewing.
Yeah, I don't think it helps the runner to do really
No, it's
anything before.
awful.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think some runners get hung up on it, and this is not all, but some, because it's a sense of control for the
Hmm.
unknown that's
Yeah.
coming, and they feel like if they can control all of these little bits and pieces, then they can control the day and everything that happens. And all you can control is what you can do in that day and in that moment. That's it.
100%.
And so let go of the false sense of
Yeah,
any
and
control.
it's not to say you're completely out of control. Like if you're having people come out and pace you, we talked about this morning. Like you're allowed to have an opinion of when you want to see those people and which person would be better in which section. You can weigh in, but and the other side of that is listen, just get who you get at mile whatever at the end of the day, and trust that those people on the other side see what's going on. I'm very grateful that I'm able to trust you. And I think, we've done this a time or two that I know you're going to make good decisions. I don't have to worry about it. Like it's all going to be all right.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you
Yeah.
trusting me.
How's it feel like to be on the other side of this? Because usually this goes the other direction.
Oh, I mean, I would always much prefer to run. I think running's way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too. It's easy to underestimate how much work and planning goes into crewing. And there is enough like you do have to just kind of show up and figure it out. You can't plot everything out because you don't know exactly when your runners to be coming in or
No,
that. So,
but you can be prepared.
yes.
And you should have the runner's document, the runner's manual, the aid station guide, all the information that runner was given about the race. You should have it in your possession, download those files to your phone so they work offline.
Yes.
Your crew should have that information. The colonel's been bugging me for 2 weeks for the race email.
But he's done this a
Yeah,
lot and he knows that
yeah,
he's been on both
he's
sides.
playing it, and so that's really nice to have people in your corner that are operating like that.
And we highly recommend printing off all that information and putting it into a binder with like little paper protectors and having it where it's accessible for
Yeah,
everyone. Another fun tip is if you need coordinates rather than typing them in, you can either screenshot it on your phone or you can take a picture of it. Then you can go to the photos in your iPhone
yeah.
and you can actually copy
Copy and
those
paste.
coordinates, copy and
Super
paste.
handy.
Yeah,
Super handy copy and pasting.
but if you don't have cell service and you can't get to that and that's not been downloaded offline, then you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. No,
So,
can't do that.
but you can take a picture of what's printed off in front of you. Google offline maps, you go hooked on Wi Fi, you download the area, and then it has everything on there
Yeah.
and everyone should do that. And I'm going to say this because we had everyone do that at No Business a couple years ago, and only like one of ours would work every now and then. Like not all everyone's work. I don't know why. Could have been user error. Don't know how. But someone would get it to download faster, even though we had all done the exact same thing. So everyone should do that because there are times where technology does not cooperate. So
Every now and then, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere,
yeah, be prepared.
which ultras often are.
Yeah.
Often take place in
Don't
areas
expect,
that don't have good cell phone coverage.
yes. So don't expect just one person to have everything. Everyone on the crew needs to have the exact same information. Even if you're not covering that section, even if you're not running that section, even if you're not pacing that section, even if you're not crewing during that section, you need all the same information as everybody else.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, I mean, there's logistical work this week. Like I said, for the most part, my half of it is done. You got some work to do.
Yeah, that which is
You'll do it.
yeah, it's fine. It's no rush. The race will be here. Everyone will have everything and we'll be all good. I'll see them all on Saturday and it'll be a big time. I'm excited for you. Getting emotionally compartmentalized.
Yeah, you got to stuff all those emotions deep, deep, deep down.
Yeah,
Deep, deep down.
because it doesn't serve me to be emotional when I have to talk to you when there's a job to be done. Like, doesn't.
No, you would hate to remember that you love me and are affectionate when there's running to be done.
Do you need me to be that?
Yes.
Do I need you to be that?
No. We are different.
We are different.
We handle things differently.
Yes.
A bit.
Yeah, I want you to do what needs to be done.
Oh, we're gonna get done. Feral Mountain 100 Coyote events. Shout out to them. Super looking forward to it. We'll come back next week. We'll tell you how it went.
It's gonna go good.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a story or two to tell.
They're gonna be great stories.
The best stories, maybe some funny stories. This is
Can we get someone in here playing a lute?
no, we're not going to do any of that. No, no flute, nothing.
No, I want a lute.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is. Nope, sure don't. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's enough, Miss Jones. We've rambled enough.
Okay.
That's enough for this week's episode of the Ultra Crude Podcast. Obviously, we appreciate you guys following along as we have just the silliest conversations with one another about ultra running and life.
Send me all the heckles you want me to get, John Cox.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, comments and heckles. I cannot wait every crew stop to read something. Please send me all the things.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.